When alone in the dark, do you ever hear strange noises? See objects moving that shouldn't be there? Feel a cold chill that runs up your spine? The hair on your back of your neck stands up? Or have the feeling as though someone's watching? Those are things that the S.P.O.O.KS, the Supernatural Paranormal Organization of Kansas team, investigate. They search for the truth to determine if there's a scientific, rational explanation for the occurrence, or if there's a reason to investigate.
On this episode of Exploring the Unknown, the S.P.O.O.KS team heads to the historic town of Atchison, Kansas, to help some homeowners by trying to capture the truth to the paranormal occurrences that they are experiencing. The McInteer Villa was built in 1889 for John McInteer, a prosperous Irish immigrant who made his fortune in the saddle and harness industry during the late 19th century. This historic home bolsters stained glass windows, 5 elegant fireplaces, elaborate woodwork, and hand-carved staircases, as well as many claims of paranormal activity. The claims of paranormal occurrences range from phantom-like apparitions, hearing the presence of someone who is not there, all the way to being touched by entities that do not have a physical presence. What will the S.P.O.O.KS team uncover as they explore this beautiful and richly historic house located in the heart of the most haunted city in Kansas? Join us as we venture into the depths of time and uncover the history of the McInteer Villa.
John McInteer and his first wife moved into the house in 1889. Alice, the first wife, died in 1891, and then John remarried, and then he died in 1902. And then his second wife died in 1913. And the house passed to her 3 sons. And then from that time, the house was kind of transferred hands very frequently, about 7 or 8 times, up to 1952 when Isabel Aldous bought the house. And then in 1969, my parents bought the house from Isabel, and they've had it in their possession in our family ever since then. Well, he was a harness maker, and he moved to Atchison and started a harness making shop, and then was outfitting wagons and selling pulling stock for the wagon trains that formed up here in Atchison and went west. So he was continually bringing in wagon bodies and rigging them up and sending them on. He was originally from Ireland, and he made the trek across the northern part of the United States in the general direction of Kansas, trying to find a place that he fit in, and found Atchison, and that's where he found a good fit for his skills. And
look at that, Leash.
Oh.
Get it with the camera. Oh, and as soon as she turns the camera
Yeah,
towards it, it goes away.
Let's go back towards you. You want to hold it? Can you go back to that green light that Steve's holding in his hand? Try to grab it from him?
Oh, hello. I'll share it with you. You can grab onto it if you want. Okay, can you make it light up higher than the orange one?
One common theory in the scientific paranormal research field is that spirits or entities can harness energy to manipulate electromagnetic fields. The K2 meter is a widely used tool in the paranormal community that allows investigators and researchers the ability to witness these distortions in the electromagnetic spectrum and possibly communicate with the beyond.
Go up a little bit more. Let's see if we can get a red.
Try to really pull it from his hand.
It's okay. We won't get mad.
There you go.
A little bit more. You're almost there. Make it go red. Bright flash and then nothing. Are you afraid? You can go ahead and touch it again. No, nada. Whoa, found it. Got the red.
You want to come take it from me?
There's nothing.
There was an incident in this room with Mother. She never liked to talk to her spirits that she saw, but she often saw them up on the second floor. After they had moved in and were living there, she would indicate that she would catch a glimpse of a lady walking down the hall in a long white gown or a dress, and occasionally she would go out in the hall to see maybe at first who it was, and there would never be anybody there. She got very accustomed to the activity in the house and always said that we had friendly ghosts. She made a pact with them early on that they could live in the house together. If they were nice to her, she'd be nice to them, and they just lived together. And she kind of told them that early on, and everything has worked out fine during her 40-ish years living in the house. This was the TV room for her with her recliner here. There was a Sunday afternoon she was watching TV, and she happened to look over towards the dining room where the couch was, and she said there was a young man, a little boy, standing at the end of the couch just watching her. Again, she never liked to talk to him, but she did look away for a little bit and looked back, and then he had gone. She said about an hour after that, she had some books at the end of the TV stand, and she said, she had looked over and there was a young lady with a pink dress on, kind of running her hands up and down the books, like she was trying to figure out what they were. And so she, again, she looked away for a little bit, and then later she just kind of faded away.
Can you raise your hand for me? I can see you. Can you raise your hand for me?
Why don't you raise your hand real quick?
Can you raise your hand like I am?
Dog's looking inside.
You're touching it, Steve. Looks like a small person in stature compared to you.
Really? I don't see a head.
No, it was on there earlier when it first popped up. Do you want to communicate with us? We'd like to talk to you. Oh. There you go. Okay.
Can you touch me?
It's in and out. There it is.
Can you walk over to me and touch me?
What the hell?
I'm right here by you.
It's gone.
Is it gone?
It caught down on the floor on all fours and then disappeared.
Mom, when they first moved in, they lived on the second floor while Dad was rehabbing this floor and redoing all the woodwork. Often when Dad and the boys would go fishing on weekends, she would be sitting in the TV room and she would hear a door shut. She would hear some people coming up the steps. She thought that Dad and the boys were home from fishing, so she would get up and walk over to the west room where there was a window that looked out over the driveway to make sure they were home and see what they had and if they'd caught any fish. And many times when that happened, they weren't home yet.
I want to go up to the attic. You want to try going to the attic?
Why don't we just wait till it cools off a little bit?
Hmm?
Why don't we wait till it cools off a little bit?
That's not ever going to happen.
I mean, it will.
While investigating in the master bedroom on the second floor, Nathan and Danny capture what appears to be an unknown voice. Is this the voice of a spirit replying to the conversation that they are having about the temperature in the room?
That's not ever going to happen.
I mean, it will.
That's not ever going to happen.
I mean, it will.
That's not ever going to happen.
I mean, it will.
No, it's been dark for like the last half an hour. I don't think it's going to get any cooler up there. I'm really surprised you're hot. Is that the cord coming off the thing that keeps moving?
I think so. It could be the cord. There's a fan over there, remember?
Well, yeah.
Did you hear that?
All I heard was you stretch your leg out.
I see that there. Did you hear it? Move your hair away from your ears.
The only thing I hear is the fan.
You don't hear that?
They keep moving around like spiders. Top of the door. Can you come down here and touch one of us? There it is. Can you wave hi? Can you wave to me? Oh, thank you.
Did it wave to you?
Yeah. Can you do that again? Can you wave to me? There it is. It did it again. Did you see the thing?
The rocking chair originally belonged to Isabella Aldous Goldie, And she actually died in this room, sitting in the rocking chair. So there seems to be a lot of activity in this room and near the rocking chair. I've actually seen the chair move a couple times when I couldn't explain air currents or anybody moving near it. My parents had bought the house just prior to her death, and they lived 2 blocks away. Goldie had a standing order for a cab to come pick her up and take her down to a local diner for dinner every evening. She didn't show up out to the curb for 2 days. The cab driver called the police. The police, knowing that my father owned the house and the fact that Goldie was known to have a weapon in the house, they contacted my father, and my father came up with the police, walked over, and they looked through the door right over here and could see Goldie sitting in a rocking chair with her head down, but her hand was laying on top of her pistol on the table right next to her. So my dad went around the house to the door that he had a key to and opened the door and came in calling her name all the way up until he got to where she was. When he reached out and touched her arm, he said it was cold, that she was not stiff at the time, but she was cold. So he moved her hand off of the gun and went and opened the door for the police to come in.
What is your name?
Goldie, are you here? We want to talk to Goldie. Well, who are you? Goldie's not here. Who are you?
Someplace with me? We would really like to meet Goldie. We'd like to talk to her and hear her stories.
The rocking chair, this is the one Goldie actually died in. And we had did some home tours, and one night after one of the home tours, Mother was sitting in her recliner, which was in this spot, and the rocker was over at the other side of the fireplace where Goldie actually had sat and died. And I started feeling fingers going up and down my neck, and I turned around figuring it was my brother playing jokes on me, and no one was there. So the second time when I felt the fingers on my neck, I said, "Stop that." And Mother says, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Somebody's playing jokes on me, tickling my neck." And she didn't say anything, and I said, "Okay, that's it." I got up, I moved over to the settee, and the next morning Mother tells me that Goldie wanted her rocking chair, and she was the one actually tickling my neck.
Can you tell us your name?
You just said Goldie.
I did say Goldie, I heard it. Goldie, are you here? Goldie, are you here?
Hey.
Come talk to us, Goldie.
She might not actually be here. If Goldie isn't here, who are we talking to?
You can use this device to talk to us and we can hear you. But there's also two more things sitting on the floor where the green light is. If you get near that, you can make the lights change colors. It won't hurt you. The one with the red light, if you get near the antenna, it'll make noise and the lights will light up different colors.
Larry Moore was here doing one of his Halloween vigil stories, and while the cameraman was aiming the camera up a stairwell and his assistant was adjusting the lights at the top of the room, he said, "Those look really good the way they are," and then he was fidgeting with his camera, and then he goes, "Whatever you're doing to make those shadows move around, that's really good, keep it up." And the assistant was right over his shoulder, goes, "That's not me." And at the time, there was nobody upstairs to be moving anything to make the shadows move. So I don't know what it was. It was in just shortly before Halloween when we had the house closed up and no open windows. So I have no explanation for what it was, but it was there. And then in the video later, when we saw it on TV, in the window at the top of the stairs, it looks like there's a face in the window talking, and several people called my mother and I up afterwards and asked if it was my mom standing outside the window looking in. And the window's about 11 feet above the sidewalk outside it, so for a person to be standing there would have been not real feasible.
There's some. I want to know what the reflection is though, because it's like projecting like your own ghost.
There's windows everywhere.
Well, no, it's not the window though. It's only whenever I put you in the view.
There's a shadow right here. You don't see my gigantic shadow?
No, I see that. It's doing the same thing on your right side too.
Why don't you flip the camera screen over this direction so I can see?
You see how when I pan over, and then once you're fully in the view, I don't know if it'll do it now, but you've got the same like fog on your back. You can't see what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, it's not happening now because you're here. See that like fog? There's probably a really simple explanation.
You don't hear that?
No, what do you hear? This IR light just...
What did you say?
Hey, they're all lit up again. What'd you hear?
Something moved across the floor.
With the investigation drawing to a close, the Spooks team decides to call it a night at the McInteer Villa. With all the personal experiences that took place throughout the night during the investigation, the team is anxious to head home and immediately start reviewing the data for tangible evidence of paranormal activity.
Can you tell us your name?
Huh?
Can you tell us your name?
You just said Goldie.
It did say Goldie, I heard it.
You want to come walk up these stairs towards me? Or walk down the stairs?
That's not ever gonna happen.
Look at that, Leash.
Oh.
Get it with the camera. Oh, and as soon as she turns the camera
Yeah,
towards it, it goes away.
Let's go back towards you. You want to hold it? Can you go back to that green light that Steve's holding in his hand? Try to grab it from him?
Oh, hello. I'll share it with you. You can grab onto it if you want. Okay, can you make it light up higher than the orange one?
Can you raise your hand for me? I can see you. Can you raise your hand for me?
Why don't you raise your hand real quick?
Can you raise your hand like I am? You're touching it, Steve. Looks like a small person in stature compared to you.
Really? I don't see a head.
No, it was on there earlier when it first popped up. Do you want to communicate with us? We'd like to talk to you. Oh. There you go. Okay.
Can you touch me?
It's in and out. There it is.
Can you walk over to me and touch me?
What the hell?
I'm right here by you.
It's gone.
Is it on?
It caught down on the floor on all fours and then disappeared.
Well, Atchison in general, there is a lot of areas that are haunted. They do have annual haunted trolley tours that are very popular. They have actually already started once a month, and then as it gets closer to Halloween, they start having them more frequently. They usually are a sellout, and usually they do add more on. And these have been going on for quite some time. We did have the house open, I think on 2 occasions during that time, and offered tours just to the first floor. And told the history and some of the stories of the home. There's Jackson Park out on the south side of town, Molly's Hollow, that they say is haunted, and that you can hear screeching and screaming down in that area. The trolley tour goes there. We do have the Sally House here in Atchison that is well known as well. We have the River House has also had some incidents, and just several places around town. So Atchison does have a lot of history of paranormal activity.
The 3rd of June, 1888. We were waiting for the summer in